Tonight, Christopher Scott faces Port Pirie Magistrates Court charged with murdering his cousin, Martin Meffert. And it seems not everyone got the message about driving safely on the region's roads over the long weekend.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening, great to be back with you. Christopher Scott today fronted the Port Pirie Magistrates Court charged with murdering his cousin more than a decade ago. Some of Martin Meffert's skeletal remains were found in the fireplace of a Tarawi residence back in 2013.
Another cold case breakthrough in the mid-north. After spending a long weekend in custody, Christopher Scott of Tarawi today fronted court. It's alleged Mr. Scott has been receiving benefits from the deceased Martin Meffert's disability pension for a number of years. The investigation was busted wide open through Major Crime Operation Persist, which led the police to visit a Tarawi home and conduct further interviews, leading to the arrest of Scott.
To the people who know things, I would encourage them to come forward, certainly in this case and in the Colleen Adams investigation, which was 45 years old. We received fresh information.
The investigation is now focused on finding a man and woman who allegedly stole $130,000 from Mr. Meffert's fortnightly disability payments from an ATM in Peterborough.
To facilitate the ongoing theft of that money, the offenders had to create another identity for Martin Meffert at the local Peterborough post office.
Tarawi is the second regional town to be rocked by a cold case unravelling in just a span of a few weeks, following the Maitland home on the York Peninsula. Police are still searching for the last of Mr. Meffert's remains. Anyone with information that may assist in the investigation is urged to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Christopher Travis Scott made no application for bail and will remain in custody. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
Port Augusta or Port Lincoln may soon get an MRI machine after a federal government announcement to fund an extra 30 across the country. It's hoped a new machine will provide remote communities access to life-saving scans.
It can detect dementia, stroke and life-threatening illnesses like brain tumours and cancer. But for the grey electorate, which covers 93% of the state, there is only one MRI machine to service those at risk.
Which means that obviously people can't all access that machine.
The Morrison government has announced a commitment of $175 million to subsidise an extra 30 machines for areas of need. Whyalla currently has an MRI, but Rowan Ramsey says Port Augusta, Port Lincoln or even the Copper Coast could all put together strong cases for a Medicare-funded device, making the service free of charge for patients.
We've got to find the business partners, the people actually want to put some cash on the table and say, we want to operate one.
Local health professionals in Port Augusta say an MRI scanner would be valuable for the town.
It would be great because, being a remote community and lots of people in this community.
And for the wider Far North communities, making it cheaper and easier to access key health services.
Especially if it was urgent and, they had to go in a hurry.
At the moment, if you live in the Far North and you need an MRI, you're going to travel all the way to Adelaide.
Mr. Ramsey wants potential providers interested in applying for a licence to contact him so he can push their case. Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
The ongoing saga in the site selection for the National Nuclear Waste Facility has taken another turn, with the Bungala people and the Kimber Council unable to resolve their differences at the Human Rights Commission. This means the matter will return to the Supreme Court. The Department for Innovation and Science says they won't give a date for the closure of the consultation process until the case is resolved. Well, not everyone got the message about driving safely over the October long weekend, with multiple drink drivers caught in Port Lincoln, including a learner driver. Casey Trelaw has more.
There was a blunt warning before the extended long weekend. If you get behind the wheel under the influence, you will get caught. But it didn't get through to everyone, with 5 drivers caught with illegal blood alcohol limits. All drivers were caught on the Saturday and Sunday, leaving local police very disappointed.
Some disappointment, yes, despite various warnings from both local police and across the state. We've had 5 people detected for being over the legal limit for alcohol in Port Lincoln alone this weekend.
It was a driver on their learner's permit that allegedly returned the highest blood alcohol reading, more than 3 times over the limit. The driver blew .189 after being pulled over just after midnight on Sunday and received an immediate loss of licence for 12 months and had their car impounded. A further 2 drivers on their provisional licences also recorded illegal blood alcohol limits.
Statistically, 20% of those involved or killed on our roads have a higher than legal limit of alcohol, and people continue to drive, so it's quite disappointing.
While the state recorded its first fatality-free October long weekend in 10 years, there was a vehicle accident at Mount Drummond, 68 kilometres north of Port Lincoln. However, it is understood the death of the driver was caused by a heart condition.
Meanwhile, in Broken Hill, local officers say motorists in the region were well behaved when it came to getting behind the wheel. The city's police station did receive an unusual call on Sunday morning though.
Broken Hill police were out in full force at the long weekend as part of Operation Slow Down.
We did over 1,100 breath tests and we got 7 positive breath tests back, 31 speeding infringements over the long weekend, 2 seatbelt tickets as well, and about 19 other offences as well.
But it wasn't all routine traffic stops for the local coppers. Officers were sent out to the hospital area on Sunday afternoon after reports a tank was spotted on the road. Highway Patrolman Matt Whitelam found the mobile artillery unit.
Breath tested the driver, checked it all out, it's all good. The vehicle's actually registered and the gentleman has a licence, and yeah, had a few photos with it and then off they went on their way.
The driver was said to be a bit of a collector and was just out enjoying a Sunday drive in his tank.
When I first heard the word tank, I actually thought the radio operator was mistaken, and yeah, sort of sparked my interest straight away. So yeah, we went down to have a look, and yeah, it's all legitimate.
Inspector Smith says despite the light-hearted moment, it was a horror long weekend in other parts of New South Wales. 4 people have lost their lives over the past 4 days. This accident near Sydney claimed the lives of 2 young women, 1 pregnant and expecting twins. 281 people have died on New South Wales roads so far this year, an average of 1 a day.
Don't drink drive, don't use mobile phones, don't get distracted, put your seatbelts on, and you know, hopefully next long weekend, which will be around Christmas, you know, again we'll be able to have a 0 fatality long weekend.
Patrick Ryan, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, the Jamestown Show turns its focus to our farmers, with experts and politicians weighing in on issues affecting Australian agriculture, and how an epic donation of $100,000 will help out our drought-affected farmers. Hello again. Labor's Tony Piccolo has made a stop in the Spencer Gulf as part of his regional listening tour. The Shadow Minister for Local Government met with local leaders, also discussing the concerns of the region's elderly residents.
Labor member Tony Piccolo has met with leaders of the Port Augusta community. A big issue rolling off their tongues is a change to the Local Government Act, which would see the region's big renewable energy projects cough up council rates.
What we need to do, make sure, is that some of that growth in income in these areas actually stays in the local communities.
Mr Piccolo says he understands the frustration from small business owners who may pay tens of thousands in rates, while an energy company with profits of millions pays next to nothing. He says he will take the issue to the Shadow Cabinet.
We need to obviously engage further and consult with industry, but I think there can be a fair solution to this challenge.
Mr Piccolo is also the Shadow Minister for Veteran Affairs, and around 20% of the population in Port Augusta is over 65. Many voicing their concerns about the difficulties in accessing funds to aid with specialist medical treatments to metropolitan areas like Adelaide.
But it's not only just going to Adelaide. You need somebody to take you there, to look after you there, and also bring you back. And sometimes they need carers to support them.
He wants to see better ease of access to these travel expenses to reduce the anxiety of an already stressful situation for veterans.
It's not only the veteran that suffers, it's their family that suffer, their children suffer, and ultimately the community suffer as well.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
The Jamestown Show took a more serious turn this long weekend, with a panel made up of experts and politicians weighing in on issues affecting Australian agriculture and facing some tough questions from the local audience.
farmers were granted a rare opportunity to voice their concerns at the Jamestown Show, and the Federal Agriculture Minister was there to answer them.
Can come around and sit and be asked questions by the general public, and we should be proud of that, and that should not stop. And the reality is we have a big part to play in the world.
The main concern was Australia's agricultural economic performance on the foreign markets, with many farmers worried about how the drought was impacting their ability to trade outside of Australia.
The question is, how are we going to maintain those markets going through into 2019, 2020, when we have no land production, land percentage is very low this year?
It's down nearly 20% across Australia, which is quite a shock. Just to give you an idea, this fiscal year, July, August, September, we're off 15%.
The drought debate had some panellists thinking outside the box.
We need to help farmers going forward how they come out of this drought, whether it's actually relocating farms.
Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
The single largest donation of $100,000 has come through to help out our drought-affected farmers. It'll mean a local charity will have enough money to bale hay and send it to farmers left without feed.
An epic donation for an epic charity. The Epic Charitable Trust has now reached its target of raising $120,000 to bale 5,000 bales of straw for Upper Eyre Peninsula farmers without feed for their livestock.
To cover the cost of contract baling, I needed about $120,000. So that roughly can please about 50 growers.
It's been made possible by a $100,000 donation from the National Farmers Federation, which teamed up with Rotary and the Channel 9 Today show to manage the more than $10 million raised by generous Aussies.
I went to the ANZ in Port Lincoln and checked the statement and it was in the account, and that's when it really hit home that we can now make a real difference.
And in the biggest local donation, Bendigo Bank presented a $10,000 cheque at the Line and Label fundraising event.
Each staff member is given $1,000 to donate to a charity of their cause or choice that they wish to do. And it was almost unanimous throughout the branch that that's what they would do.
Meaning the total amount has now reached $133,000. And with several months until baling will begin, Steve has a plan on how to spend any leftover money.
In partnership with Mentally Fit EP, who have been magnificent all the way through on Eyre Peninsula, we will be able to look to put some programs into some of these struggling communities, try and just bring some positivity to the communities that are struggling the most.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Oh, good on them. Well, Regional Development Far West has had an overwhelmingly positive response to its Far West gift card initiative. The cards are no longer just available in Broken Hill, but the surrounding region as well.
It started off small, but now it's going gangbusters.
We have Broken Hill, Silverton, Milparinka, Packsaddle, Tibooburra, Wilcannia, Menindee on board. We're looking at White Cliffs in the coming weeks and then Ivanhoe to come as well.
The Far West gift cards were launched at the start of the year and have grown immensely in popularity. What started as a new program in Broken Hill has taken over the far west of the state.
Seeing the cards being used in really diverse ways, from gifts to raffle prizes, awards, sporting awards, and a large variety there.
$20,000 have been used on the card since being introduced. Over 140 businesses across the region are now accepting them. The motto simply, live local, shop local.
We're always looking to extend the opportunity to all businesses throughout the region, so we encourage businesses who aren't on board to get in contact with us. It's as simple as having a chat and talking about the ways in which you can benefit from the initiative.
Miss Neville says with Christmas fast approaching, she expects more gift cards will be purchased. The Far West Proud website is also receiving plenty of attention.
That's looking to promote the region as an ideal location to live, visit and invest, and that comes with a variety of information and tools that we're encouraging locals and non-locals to jump on, have a look and spread our Far West Proud message.
Miss Neville says RDA are working on a number of other projects that will further promote the far west of New South Wales. Patrick Royenke, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. I'll have all the local weather details. And after a summer-like day, we're going to see a drop in temps tomorrow and finally some welcomed rain. I'll have all the details up next. Welcome back. And after a very warm day around the region, it's time now to have a look at what the rest of the week has in store. But first, thanks to Heidi Roberts for sending in this stunning photo of canola at White River on the way to Port Lincoln. Remember, if you have a weather shot for us, we love getting them, so send it in to localnews@sca.com.au. Well, it certainly felt more like summer today. Port Augusta reached a very warm top of 34 degrees. 31 was the max for Whyalla and Broken Hill, and Port Lincoln saw a pleasant top of 24 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite, and cloud over central and eastern parts with a low pressure trough is producing the odd light shower and some dry thunderstorms. On the waters for your Wednesday, southerly shifting southeasterly winds up to 25 knots, seas at 1 metre, and sunrise is just getting earlier and earlier at 5:56 a.m. Well, we're in for quite the change tomorrow. Light patchy rain forecast for all centres with pockets of sunshine throughout the day. Port Augusta, you're heading for a top of 22 degrees, 18 the max for most districts around the EP. Coffin Bay heading for a top of 16. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, and temperatures will remain in the high teens. Cloud cover creeping in on Thursday for Port Lincoln and Cleve, 17 the top there, but skies will clear for a mostly fine Saturday, and warming up in Woodner, 27 the max. A similar story further up the Gulf after some welcome showers tomorrow. It's looking like lovely spring conditions for the rest of the week. Whyalla and Kadina heading for a top of 21 degrees on Friday. Port Augusta seeing the mercury gradually rise into the high 20s by the weekend. A gorgeous 29 the top for Saturday. And those light showers will clear on Thursday. It'll be cloudy in Broken Hill though, 20 the max there. It's looking like a gorgeous sunny end to the week, 21 the top for Clare on Friday, and it's warming back up again by Saturday, 27 the top for Port Pirie. But good to see all districts will get a bit of welcomed rain tomorrow. And thanks to Calypso Star Charters for sending in this vision of the first sea lion swim for the season at Hopkins Island. It looks like one of them wants to give the camera a kiss. How cute. The sea lion season runs until the June long weekend, and these Australian sea lions are also endangered species, so it's very lucky that people get to swim with them in Port Lincoln. Love those sea lion kisses. And that's the local news from the team this Tuesday. Thanks for your company, and remember, if you have a story for us, you can get in touch via email at localnews@sca.com.au. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.